How is it going, guys? It is Midnight Rains. We are back. They have just opened up some new news into the balancing patch that's going to be coming out. So a couple heroes are getting nerfed, including Iris. I know, surprising. I know, I never even expected it. And a couple heroes are getting buffs, like Christina. So let's go into those. On the side note, though, they did say that some of this stuff is subject to change. So I don't know. Maybe they'll see what everybody is saying about the details and then maybe change some things. So just kind of put that on there in case people are surprised with whatever they come out with. So Dragon Knight Christina is first on the list. She's the myth that is probably the most underused um, out of all of them, really. I mean, she doesn't bring much to the table, and now she will be. So basically, what they're doing is they are switching a lot of the amount of hits between Iris and Christina so that the myth is better than the legend. So, which makes sense. So, the first skill is going to be changed to now hit 4 consecutive times, and instead of hitting one random enemy, it's going to hit the entire column of the row that has the most enemies in it. So that'll be pretty interesting. It'll change some things up strategically. It's going to hit a little lower, but that's because you're going to be hitting 4 times instead of two, which makes a lot of sense. You'll also be removing 2 beneficial effects, guaranteed, and hitting an entire row means that you possibly could remove debuffs from or buffs from 3 heroes instead of just like 2. So that's pretty cool. She's also going to hit a lot harder due to the side effects on both skills. The one is going to have, if the HP of the hero has more than Christina, the damage will be doubled on each hit. So I'm not sure if the hits change halfway through or it's you have higher HP or you have lower HP than your opponent, and so all 4 hits are doubled, or if you hit and as you cross that barrier between your health and the opponent's health, if the damage will change. I'm not sure. It's something that we'll have to test, but it's something to keep in mind about. So, due to the hit being more powerful, they're going to increase the skill cooldown to 4 turns, which is makes sense. And the second skill will also hit an entire row, just like the first one. It'll guarantee to remove two buffs on the heroes, and it's also going to hit 4 times. The damage is going to be a little lower. It's going to be 80%, but it's going to ignore defense instead of doubling damage when you have lower HP than your opponent. So I'd say just build her as a glass cannon, and you should be pretty good. So the new trait for her is Screw Counterattack. She is going to revive with 50% max HP when she dies by Reflect or Counterattack. That is pretty crazy. The main meta right now involves a lot of like the Reflect pets with Grace and Hydra teams. And so you're going to die by counter or reflect probably 95% of the time. So having Christina revive like that will be pretty nice. I'm not sure if that's only a one-off. I would hope so, that it's going to state may only revive once per wave or maybe once per battle. We'll have to see when that drops. That's kind of one of those things where up at the top, it said, things are subject to change. So maybe they'll list that. So on to Iris. This is the long-awaited nerf that a lot of people have been crying for. And she did need a nerf. I mean, she was really overpowered. So her first skill, Unawaken, is pretty much going to be the same. It's actually even going to have some higher damage, but it's not going to hit twice. And we'll go into the Awaken skills, and those will be that she will attack a random enemy Same as before, one when it hits the one enemy, and then it has a chance to hit, the 2x2 formation around them. It has a chance to randomly hit those units too. Instead of removing uh, two beneficial effects, it's only going to remove one, which is kind of sad. And then, instead of hitting additionally again, you're only going to be hitting with a 50% chance to have that extra proc. So, again, leaving a lot of things up to RNG. We'll see how that works in the future. The first, I think it's first skill, is the attacks two random enemies, hits them 3 times. This is the big one that a lot of people were complaining about. So it's still going to hit 2 random enemies, but it's only going to hit twice, which then leaves it up to her second trait that procs the freeze with a 25% chance. If that procs in addition to hitting the full amount of power on heroes, that's 80% plus the freeze, it'll one hit them. And so it leaves a lot up to RNG for that. And then also if you have like Hydra or immunity and stuff, it can nullify that. So it leaves it to where it can be countered. There's no one-shotting from massive hits anymore. To make matters better, the attack is also going to have a 50% chance to proc, and then you only remove one beneficial effect instead of two, which is kind of sad. So she's not a nuker debuffer all-in-one combo anymore. She's going to be more of a nuker and I'll take a buff off, but it's not going to be like, your full debuffer and a nuker anymore. You'll probably need a debuffer on your team like Snowy or something to also pair with Iris. So that's kind of, it's good and sad at the same time. We'll see how it goes, and we'll get back to you on that. So going into Snowdrag, this was unexpected. Snowdrag is on there, but we all have mentioned that, man, Snowdrag only has like 1 turn immunity, and everybody's heroes are so fast that that immunity goes away very quickly. So what they've done is they've made it to where it still cleanses, but it also lasts for 2 turns now instead of 1 against full immunity, harmful effects, and such. So the downside to that, the only downside to that is that the cooldown is going to be increased by 1 turn. So that's going to make it harder to cleanse and nest, but it's going to be nicer because it lasts an extra turn. So it kind of evens out. So we'll see how that goes. It'll be pretty cool. Maybe people will start using Snowdrag more in Arena because, 2-turn immunity. He's a dragon, so he self-revives. You can make the drags really tanky, or you can go pretty offensive on them, as we can see now that his nuke skill will be changed. It still does the same amount of damage, but the freeze on the enemies lasts 3 turns instead of 2 and has a 100% chance. So that's pretty nice. I know freeze is probably one of the weakest debuffs on dots that you can apply, but 100% will be nice. I use Snowdrag and Fortress, I think, still, just kind of as a speed cleanser. And then, in case RNG, when I auto, it'll freeze the targets while hitting them, which will hit. So, technically, our speed time should be a little bit faster for Fortress. So, that'll be cool. So, pretty cool to see Snowdrag get hit like that. That was nice. The next up is Rhea. So I'm looking on the plus side of things, a little bit on the negative side of things. I'm not sure how I feel about this one. So her skill is getting changed to where the debuff and buffs that she applies are now going to be only 1 turn. So the Birth of Star effect on the first skill that hits 3 targets is now going to be 1 turn, so you're going to revive dead allies a heck of a lot faster than you did before. That's even quicker than Lion, I think. And the damage is reduced by a little bit. It's only going to be like 210%. So it's not a lot of a nerf there, but she is getting a skill cooldown time reduction on that to 4 turns, which is really nice. The second move is going to get a heavier attack power reduction to only 230%. and it grants the Death of Star effect, so that's the one that removes the enemy buffs. The bad part about that is that now when you apply that to Hydra teams, I'm not sure if that's going to stick or not and like instantly remove the debuffs. I'm pretty sure it's just going to be